some obstacles. Ladies and gentlemen, on to our second keynote speaker, and for that, I'm very delighted to welcome to the stage. He's a member of the National Executive of the BJP. Please welcome Dr. Vijay Chauthaiwale. Hello, sir. Welcome. The floor is yours.
His Excellency Ambassador of India to Germany, Mr. Gupte, Professor Schwan, the officials of GIIC, and dear friends from India and Germany as well. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today. I came here for some different reason to this country, but when I was asked to be present here, I thought that it is quite apt for me to attend his, not because I belong to a political party, but also in my previous incarnation, I was a scientist. And I spent almost 25 years in doing some good research work, both in academics as well as in industry. So, friends, I must admit that India as a country was late in realizing its potential towards innovation. Part of it was can be blamed to our education system in past, which was confining us towards doing certain type of education which will create more employment rather than creating the employment for others. This big gap was partially overcome by 2 or 3 major policy decisions that has been taken by the current government under the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. One of it was in very early days of his administration in 2015, he has launched a big startup policy, which is called as a Startup India. It is still a document worth reading because it gives some very transformational ideas about the entire startup and innovation ecosystem. Second, as a follow-up, he almost simultaneously, he launched a very unique platform called Atal Innovation Mission. Atal is the name of our previous Prime Minister. So AIM, Atal Innovation Mission, of which I am the part since its inception, has also started a new culture of innovation and startup. Third, which is equally important, was our new education policy, which gave us a lot of flexibility and in a very tuned to the modern requirement of education of flexibility, as well as trying to change the entire system of education. So these three, and the current, just last year, the government of India has launched a massive fund, an integrated funding program for scientific innovation under the platform called ANRF, which is essentially on the basis of National Science Foundation in US, which gives integrated funding at all levels, rather than having innovator trying to get funding from 50 different institutions and government organizations. So these 3 or 4 major innovation, major policy changes have created a new wave of startup and innovation ecosystem in India. So I would like to tell you a few things about what is happening in India. Some of it was mentioned in the introductory remarks, and it was told that India will not wait for Europe or for that matter any other country. So why we are saying that? So India's key strengths as far as innovation is concerned is of course the scale and the market, but India is simply not a consumer anymore. So looking at India as only a mere market is also underestimating India's potential. But the second part is also venture capital and digital exports. We are now having increasing leadership in the venture capital received, it is the sixth globally, and the top-ranking ICT services export highlight the country's strong digital and startup ecosystem. I have already mentioned about the policy changes. For example, in the biotechnology area where I belong to, Government of India has launched a very innovative Bio E3 policy. It stands for economy, environment, and entrepreneurship. So this Bio E3 policy is trying to make India as a biotech superpower also. And then, of course, the India's main human resource strength, a talent pool, which now we are experiencing in the countries like Germany also. And this talent pool has created a new strength in India. So going at outlook, I must say that because of these changes in the policy environment, India's innovation index, India has grown up in innovation index ranking from 81 in 2015 to 39 in 2024. So it's a massive jump. India's startup sector experienced exponential growth. The data was mentioned previously also by Jan. And there were only 350 to 400 startups in 2014 when Mr. Modi took over. And now it is more than 150,000 startups in last 1 decade by the end of 2024. If I give you some more data, India has approximately 9,000 to 9,300 tech startups and added over 1,300 new startups in last 1 year itself. Now there are close to 100,000 recognized and registered startups on the government portal, which creates the data of entire startup ecosystem in India. And therefore, as I told you, close to 140,000 startups have been registered in India. India's startup ecosystem has grown by more than 300 times in last decade. The Startup India initiative, as I told you, has played a major role. And more than 100 unicorns with a market cap of more than $1 billion are there in India right now. The funding, if we see, the venture capital funding was around 2.1 billion and close to 1,000 deals. Now it has grown up by 47%, and now it has reached to close to $10 billion in 2024, which is 55% increase versus previous years. VC funding soared. So number of deals have also soared by more than 45%. And then these investments are in multiple sectors. Investment targeted in early stage e-commerce to tech startups. And then it started with consumer tech, fintech, and software as a service, and has come as a major investments. 2024 alone, the consumer technology dominated, which $5.4 billion have raised in India. And quick commerce startup, which has now a new trend in India, led to a recovery alongside significant funding of B2C. Number of biotech startups skyrocketed from 50 in 2014 to 8,500 in 2024. Biopharma and medical biotechnology drew the majority of VC funding, capturing 42% of the total VC funding in India. The other interesting ecosystem that is coming up in India is a drone development. And drones have been coming up in all the possible, even the consumer sectors in India. The Indian drone industry is projected to reach market size of around 10.5 billion US by this year end, and expectation to grow to $15 billion by 2030, with a CAGR of close to 25%. This growth is funded by application across defense, agriculture, logistics, and urban planning, and also in the smart city projects. There is a new drone policy that has come up, which has removed several restrictions of using drone for the domestic purposes. The other equally interesting development is the startups in the space technology. More than 250 startups working on various aspects like reusable rockets, satellite technology, launch vehicles, and space-based communications are now working and they are working at a various stage. One of the interesting development and example is the Agnikul Cosmos. It builds custom 3D printed rocket engines and launch vehicles for small satellites, offering flexible, affordable space access. It is the first company in India to partner with Indian Space Research Organization for launch services. There are many such initiatives. Otherwise, in India, previously, the space technology was confined only to the government sector. But once this sector is open, there is a big boom of private sector and startups entering into this space. And therefore, India, which is already a hub of affordable satellite launch globally, has given new dimension. But in a country like India, even though we are third or fourth largest economy, our per capita income is still quite low. And therefore, any technology that is developed in India has to be for the use of common man. And unless there is a larger public consumption and acceptance of any technology, it is not likely to be successful in a country like India. And therefore, I would like to mention here the very unique technology of Universal Payment Interface, UPI, what it is called, has now revolutionized the financial transactions. It is the system which is based on three things, a trinity of three things. One is your mobile, second is your bank account, and third is your unique identification number of every Indian resident, which we call it as an Aadhaar number. And because these three are tightly integrated, you can do even a small transaction of 5 pennies, 5 cents in euro, equivalent to that through your mobile, and therefore cash transactions have gone down significantly. To tell you some statistics about these transactions is that there are billions of such transactions are taking place every month in India, and they are all digitally secured and therefore traceable also. And because of this technology, now a lot of benefits which the vulnerable sections of society, they get cash benefits, rather than sending the checks, etc., they now can be directly deposited in the bank account. So there are more than 600 million transactions per day that are happening using this UPI technology. And it shows that how much strong it is in India. Then the second example I can also give about how the technology can be used for the benefit of common man, that Indian government has trained several rural women who generally they are farm workers to use the drone technology. And they call it as a drone Didi. Didi is actually a Hindi word for elder sister. So through this technology, these women, those who are not highly educated, and only because they have now mastered technology of drone, they are taking care of their agricultural field, including spraying the insecticides or spraying the fertilizers, or even the aerial survey of the field. These drones have been used by these women, giving not only extra employment to these women, but also enhancing the efficiency of our agriculture produce. So essentially, what I am trying to tell you, and I am trying to reaffirm what has been said in the introductory remark by Jan, that India is on the verge of a big revolution as far as innovation and startup ecosystem is concerned. I appeal all of you to be a part of this journey, and not as a statement of arrogance, but as a statement of confidence that If you don't do it, most probably you will be left out. So rather than having the sentiments of FOMO, which is a feeling of being left out, I appeal all of you to be a part of this India journey. And in that context, the role of GIIC is very important because there are a lot of opportunities for the collaborations for the technologies that are not only affordable, they are high-tech, and the immediately mass market is available. And taking the advantage of these opportunities, it will be a great idea to further strengthen the collaboration between India and Germany. Thank you very much.